Yeah, I mean, so that's kind of the question, right? Is if Carvana goes under, right? How does this affect Ally Financial? Welcome back to Car Guys fans to a very special episode about Carvana.
Good old Carvana, man. I've sold 2 cars to those guys.
Yeah, so I mean,
Yeah.
first of all, this is going to be one of those episodes where we're just kind of diving into the news that we've read. I'm going to share with everybody the article that we've been researching, that we've been kind of diving into regarding this.
Yeah.
And a lot of what we're going to talk about is going to come right out of the article. So,
Yes.
we're going to point back to that. But what's interesting is, Carvana was established in 2012, and Carvana was almost revolutionary because they said, look, you don't even have to come see the car. Right?
Yeah.
You get on our website, you look at the car, we'll take pictures from every angle, we'll point out all the nicks and scratches and dents and everything, and we'll ship you the car, and you've got a few days to figure out whether it's right for you, and then it's yours, right?
Yeah.
And they're probably one of the largest, I would say, like strictly online. And I mean, they really set the tone for it because, even Autonation and Carmax have physical places where you can go and look, right?
Yeah.
And they did it to the point where they said,
we'll deliver the car.
We'll deliver the car. If you want to come pick it up, we've got a car vending machine. And you can, stick your coin in and
drop the quarter.
Yep, get your car
hit
out
it like
here, right?
Bubble gum, and then it shows up, and it is bubble gum.
That's right. And I'll tell you, for those of you who have always wanted, have you seen that meme that says, if I won the lottery, I wouldn't tell anybody, but there'd be signs.
Yeah,
I would have one of those Carvana vending machines at my house.
Yes. Yeah. Which car am I driving today? Bing, and it rolls it around and delivers it. I'll say this, man. Dealing with them on the sales side, honestly, I was extremely surprised at how well that went, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great place to start because from the sales end, that's the only interaction. I've never bought anything from them. I've only known people who sold to them.
Right.
And the process has been super easy. Go in, put all the stuff about your car, they show up, hand you a check, take your car away.
And that's it. It's that simple. And it's and I had no issues with that. The first car I sold happened to be a smart car.
That's right.
And I was like, what do I do with this thing? And one day I was sitting there and I just a friend of mine said something about check Carvana values, see if they're worth it. And I was going to list it on Facebook Marketplace for like $1,000 less than Carvana gave me. Yeah. And I was like, okay, if this really is serious, we're about to at least try it. So I did all the little things and they showed up. It was like Christmas Eve or like the day before Christmas Eve, and picked the car up, wrote me my check cleared, everything was fine. And I was like, wow. And so,
I mean, that's the craziest part because their prices were so competitive. And the real story there was, I was actually, because I bought and sold a bunch of cars. And so I was using Carvana's prices to negotiate at dealerships and going, hey, here's the price. I can literally get this for my car right now. Right. So, I mean, Carvana kind of set the market on notice and was like, hey, we're paying big dollars for these cars. And the funny thing was, that they weren't selling them for crazy money either. It wasn't like they were, 10 grand more than the market,
And part of the thing I was telling you about yesterday was people would follow VINs and they would say, hey, look, I sold the car to Carvana. It moved here and sold for less. And they did this with multiple cars over and over and over. But yet we look at this, we start looking at things and, they're making massive profits through the time where other companies were down. I mean, even Chevy, Ford, and Dodge were all down,
So
it's pretty crazy.
And I mean, we're coming out of a really weird time, right? So we're coming out of, post-COVID. And I will tell you, whether it's regular cars or select exotic luxury cars, whatever you want to, whatever you want to look at, everything was just more expensive during COVID, right?
Yes.
And so if you look at the profits that a lot of these places made during COVID, where they were putting addendums on everything and pricing stuff over
just
market,
unbelievable
you
prices. Used
can't
trucks
look at
were
but you
crazy,
can't look at 2024 and 2025 and go, okay, well, we've lost money. Yes, you may have lost money overall, but we're starting to see ourselves getting adjusted back to 2019 rates on vehicles, right?
Exactly.
But despite facing bankruptcy in 2022 and 2023, Carvana's stock spiked 284% in 24, right? So huge swing in the other direction.
The numbers are just crazy, man. Like these numbers that I'm reading on this, it just blow me away.
Well, but I think a lot of the investors,
was founded in 2012.
Yeah.
You know, and it went through the recession or not the recession, but after the recession. And then now here we are in 2012, but they were going before that. They had the drive, right? I think it's something like that.
Well, and so here's the thing, right? So what's interesting is they, I think the investors and even the article calls it out, if I remember correctly, the investors were saying that, they were believing that the kind of the worst days were behind them, right? And so that's what attributed to the spike. But if you dig into this article, they went in and interviewed people from the industry. They went in and interviewed people from from Carvana employees. They interviewed competitors and related parties. They got down and basically started getting into the
nitty gritty,
the
nitty gritty
details.
Yes,
and they uncovered $800 million in loans to a suspected undisclosed related party, right? So that's already questionable. That's a huge accusation, right? And then they came up with some details of what they call accounting manipulation and lax underwriting that have fueled like a temporary reported income growth. So what they're saying, what this article is saying, is that they've found money that was loaned to an undisclosed third party, right? Or loans from an undisclosed third party. That there was some cooking of the books, if you will, and some lax underwriting that have basically attributed to this. But if you look, they're trading 845% higher than their peers at Carmax and Autonation, and a 754% premium on a forward earnings basis, right? That's you just said it, John. Those numbers are crazy.
These numbers are unbelievable, man. And this is like bubble numbers. Like you cannot sustain an 845%.
Yep.
And what happens to those cars? What happens to these loans? What happens to all of this when this happens? Because we're not the people that will know what's going to happen next, but something big's about to happen.
Well, so here's the thing. So they're riding this wave, right, of all these used car prices just being through the roof, right?
Yes.
We've already started to see used car prices decline. This article actually calls out a declined rate of 20.3% in the past 3 years, according to the Manheim Price Index, right?
That's across the board. On any car you own, it's 20% less than it was 3 years ago.
Now, compound that with subprime auto loans. Have started to see higher delinquency rates during the global financial crisis, right? So you've got more people that aren't paying their bill, right? So they were in place in 2012, right?
Yep.
They've sold cars up to 2020, and then in the 2020 era and beyond, people have started not paying their bill. So now you've got delinquencies plus the value of cars are going down, right?
Right.
So here's where some of this stuff starts getting a little smoke and mirrors, a little cloudy, right?
Ooh, look here while we do such and such.
So the previous owner, Ernie Garcia, the third, actually,
the dad, right?
So his father, Ernie Garcia the second, sold $3.6 billion in stock between 2020, August of 2020, right during COVID, and August of 21. So about a year, right? And after he stopped selling, Carvana's stock plunged 99%. 99%.
Here's my thing though. He's selling the stock. Why does it plunge when he stopped selling it?
Because the whole reason it was going was because there was activity in the marketplace.
He was actively showing a transition. Wow.
But see, the way I read that article, and for those of you who we're going to post the article in our, obviously in the description below, but for those of you who read the article reads as the CEO was Ernie Garcia. His father, Ernie Garcia
Ernest Garcia the second, sold 1.4 billion in Carvana stock.
Who, by the way, was not related with Carvana.
Correct.
So that's where it gets really sketchy, right?
Yeah, but these two, the guys, Ernie Garcia, all these guys, they are billionaires. There's no question about it. And I can honestly say, if I was the guy running Carvana and my stock was up 800 and what was the percentage?
840 something percent.
840 something percentage. I can guarantee you I would pull my money back.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, man. I'd get my initial investment back, whatever that is.
What's interesting is if you start reading down and, getting into more of the numbers that are in this article, I mean, the long and short of it is that the reprise or the re-energization of Carvana may be all smoke and mirrors, right?
Right.
It may not be what we really think it is. I will tell you, 18 months ago, probably, right? I was on the phone with one of my friends and he was talking about how Carvana is probably going to go out of business and all those cars will get flooded back out into the marketplace.
Yes.
And I will tell you, Carvana's inventory still does not seem to have bounced back from COVID. That same car elevator that we were joking about at the top of the episode, there's one in downtown Atlanta. It's got like 4 cars in it.
Yes.
Another
thing too, I noticed, is this is unbelievable, man. So like one of the things they were saying is like most of their stuff is based on loans that they're selling and subprime loans at that. So it's risky stuff.
And it is. And so here's what gets me. And this is something. So Ally Financial, right? I've actually done business with Ally Financial before. And I will tell you, probably one of my favorite companies I've ever done business with. It was very easy to pay them. They had an app. The people you talked to on the phone were very easy to get along with. I actually really enjoyed that. In fact, I sold a car and tried to buy another car and have it go through Ally, but it doesn't work that way, right? That you can't get a loan from them directly. They're partnered up with dealerships, and you have to get it through the dealership.
So it's where they spider your credit out, and there may be one that you get. Right. I
mean, kind of, right?
Yeah.
So the thing is, like, Ally is not set up like or at least at the time it wasn't. It may have changed, but Ally is not set up like a Bank of America, for instance, right? You can go to Bank of America today. You can give them your information. You can get a check from them and go buy a car.
Right.
You can't go to Ally and be like, hey, I want to buy this car. Can you guys pre-approve me and I'll go get it? Right.
Right.
It has to be a dealer initiated.
Got it. So they have to be linked up with a dealer, and Carvana seems to be one.
And again. Don't kill me if I'm wrong, but that's how it was originally because I tried to refinance a car through them. It didn't work out. They may have changed that. I mean, this has been at least, 5-10 years, whatever. So what's interesting is Carvana has relied on a purchase commitment agreement with Ally Financial. And they basically sold, and I got to look back, I want to say almost $4 billion in vehicle loans in 2023.
What I'm reading here, it says it was 3.6 billion vehicle loans in 2023, 60% of its total originations. So Carvana stood on a big part of that.
Carvana basically said, here's pretty much everything we have, right? And what's crazy about it was the article also says for the last 6 years that they've been seeking to diversify outside of their relationship with Ally, but so far no one stepped up. And in fact, in 2019, Wells Fargo said that they were interested, but they made it. There's a quote in here that says, "As we dug into the more the more we learned, the less we liked about it."
My goodness, man. Like,
and now again, you can take that a bunch of different ways, right? Because you can say maybe they didn't like that there were so many subprime loans.
Correct. Right? Yeah. Maybe they wanted to be more premier loans and stuff like that. So
maybe they didn't like that there were a lot of subprime loans that had a lot lot of people
may not be making their payments on time.
Exactly. Right. So there's a bunch of questions. And as subprime auto has declined, we've started to see a decline in that overall. Ally has amended its agreement with Carvana 5 times. Now, what's interesting is each time, and it says this specifically in the article, each time that they revise it, Carvana redacts crucial information that would help investors understand the terms of the relationship. So they're burying information as they make changes to their agreement with Ally.
Man, it's so sketchy, dude.
Something's wrong.
Well, here's the other part too. This is a publicly traded company. Am I correct? It's
It
not
is,
a
yes.
privately owned company. So,
right.
And they have the money to, at this point, take it back private. If you want to be this sketchy, but do it privately.
If you want to be this sketchy, clip that, and
Right. Yeah. I mean, I'm just saying, like, wow, dude, like, some of this, but the more we read, it's like it's like an onion, and we just keep peeling back little bits.
So,
it's like,
so it almost seems like Carvana's kind of taken Ally down with them, right? Because if you look at it over the last 2 years, Ally's book has become increasingly concentrated with loans from Carvana, right?
Yeah.
So their portfolio with Carvana has grown in the past couple of years, and they're getting more and more loans from them. So
when you're talking about 60%
they're making
of the
more and more
originations, but when you're talking about 60%, it's probably closer to 70 at this point. Bro, that's you're linked. You are now one with that company. And maybe they got in it, and next thing you know, they're really in deep, and they're like, well, I guess we're gonna have to keep this going.
I mean, so that's kind of the question, right? Is if Carvana goes under, right? How does this affect Ally Financial, right?
Yeah.
And of these subprime loans, if they're increasingly not paying their loans back, what does that look like for Ally, right? What does that look like for Carvana? Because the thing about Carvana was, for a while, remember Carmax was like the place, right? If you wanted a negotiation, you'd go and get your paper from Carmax that would say how much Carmax was willing to give you, and you drive that up to Ford or GMC or whoever, and you'd be like, okay, you want to give me 20, Carmax is going to give me 22.5 or something like that, right?
Well, you know what it reminds me of? Like, I was looking at the Tesla Cybertruck, and I was like, well, maybe we'll get that, and I'll trade my truck and get that. And when you broke it down, I think they were offering me, the Chevy dealership down the street offered me 30, Carvana offered me 32, and Tesla, because they're direct to consumer and they don't have a dealer or anything like that, they only offered me like 23 for my truck.
Yeah,
and I was like,
all
dude,
they're
I'll
gonna do is
keep
take
this
it,
thing for that.
But all they're going to do is take it to auction. Right? There's zero incentive for them to do anything but auction that car, because they don't have a dealership lot, right?
It's unbelievable. But so I mean, but honestly, so all right, let's keep going. So over the last 2 years, Ally's loan book has become increasingly, I'm in the same place we were earlier. I apologize.
No, so what it breaks down to, right, is that we're seeing more and more loans that are either starting to get, that are above the subprime, where they're selling less loans to subprime, right? And now they're being suspected of financial gaming. And basically we're seeing that Carvana is facing major economic headwinds, with 44% of the loans for cars being purchased in 2022 are underwater. Now what that means to people who are listening, right, is when you go out and buy that car in 21 and 22 because you had to have a car because you couldn't live with the one you had, and you overpaid for it, when you paid above MSRP, when you go to resell that car and that car's worth the overpay less than the overpayment plus a little depreciation, right? Then you're in a lot of trouble. And it was like, for a while, and I made a comment about this on one of our other shows. For a while, the Kia dealership up the street was selling Tellurides over MSRP.
Right. Yeah.
Look, Telluride's a good car, right? There's nothing wrong with a Telluride. In fact, Telluride is probably one of the nicest equipped cars that I've seen in a long time. It is not worth paying over on that car. Well, it's not worth paying over on a lot of these cars. The only way I'd pay over on any car is if it was a very, very, very rare spec and you knew it was going to appreciate in value. But the problem with cars is you never know if they're going to appreciate.
You never know. And this is the other part too, is they're just saying that not only are they 44% of the loans are upside down, underwater, upside down, saying that they owe more than the car is worth, but they're subprime loans. So they're paying the highest interest on these cars.
So you're already paying you're already paying too much for the car. You're paying the highest possible rate you can possibly pay, right?
Yeah.
And and you know what's funny is, and I mean, this is on the absolute ridiculously other side of the conversation, but I was watching a video the other day of this guy, and he was buried in his Ferrari SF90.
Right.
He bought it for like $700,000, and they were trying to give it to him for $4. They were trying to buy it for $4. And he was like, well, what am I supposed to do? I've got like a $5,000 to $8,000 a month payment on this car, right? So the thing is, yes, that's on the, complete other side of the conversation. However, this is very similar to what these people are facing, because you got to think about it. They were approved for a loan that's probably outside of their
means,
their comfort zone, their means, right?
Yeah, exactly.
On a vehicle that's not worth that much, and it becomes a question of, in some of those scenarios, it becomes a question of, stop paying it and just let it get repoed, right? And deal with that repo for a little while, because it's honestly easier to swallow than it is for me to continue making this payment, right?
Yeah.
Or the other part of that is, try to refinance it with somebody else. Now, if you refinance it with somebody else and you pay it off, then you're good. But the thing is, if you're upside down on that car, you're going to have to pay that upside down fee out of your own pocket, and that's not going to happen.
Now, let's say it's the other end of the spectrum where they had good credit and they got the car at like almost 2%, right? But they're upside down on the car, and they go to refinance because they're upside down. Yeah. Now they're in the same boat because you're going to 7%. So
you're going to 7%. You're going to 7%, and you're still going to have to come up with the difference. You're still going to have to come up with the difference on that car. It doesn't matter, and that's the biggest problem with this market right now.
Yes.
Is as the market's starting to come back down, and we're starting to see these prices get more normalized. All the people who bought cars during that time, if you didn't buy it for sticker, you're already off to a bad start. If you bought some of these cars at sticker, you're in a bad place, right?
Well, you look at, and not to pull Tesla out of this, but look at people that bought Teslas at the height of the market, were paying over for a Model 3, and they were able to sell them over for the Model 3, and then they kept doing that, and then next thing you know, they lower the price of the Model 3, and everybody that owned them at that time
was furious.
They took a bath.
Well,
that car went from being a $40,000 to $45,000 car to a less than $20,000 car overnight.
Yeah,
that was.
But
overnight.
You know what? I mean, I hate to say it, but the market adjusted appropriately, because it is a it is a $40,000 car, right? It was never a $40,000.
It was never a $40,000 car. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's a nice car, but never that. Yeah,
yeah.
And but you don't know that when you buy it, and you don't see that. You're thinking, well, the market's good. This is a great car. It's dependable. Blah blah blah.
Well, and so
at the end of the day,
one of the last things that's in this article that just calls out. I mean, everything that we've read to you guys so far, everything that we've discussed so far, has been stuff that's like red flag after red flag after red flag, right? Just FYI, if you're in a relationship and you see this many red flags, get out.
What I'll say is, I'm highlighting this as we go, and the only color it lets me highlight it in when I'm reading it is red.
Figured. So what's funny is, there's a part in the article that says that Carvana issued over 15.4 billion with a B in asset-backed securities, which it retains partial interest in on its balance sheet. So 60-day delinquencies across its supposed prime borrowers are over 4 times the industry average.
Dude, that's a hole, man. That's a big one. That is a massive, massive hole.
And I mean, it's just they're showing, the problem is they're showing major signs of stress in the company. Yeah. They're showing major signs of stress across the company. I will tell you, just from a car person who's constantly looking at cars, who's trying to buy more cars every time I turn around, right? The thing is, they don't even have the inventory they used to have anymore,
Right.
So they're not going to be able to, outpace the delinquencies because they can't sell new cars.
So basically, one of the highlights in here I want to read, and it says, with its marketing collapse, Carvana has propped up its numbers through a grab bag of related party accounting games.
Yes. Now, again, remember, this is an article that was written, and we're kind of diving into it, but these are serious accusations, right?
Absolutely.
And if these things are true, and we start to see the demise of Carvana, right? How does that affect the auto industry, right? Or how does it affect the auto sales industry, right? And so the one thing I was seeing in here is, it seems that Carvana appears to be dumping unreported costs of extended warranties onto related party like drive time. So drive time is related to them, and I will tell you, drive time is now their, show up and purchase the car sort of thing, right? And what's interesting about drive time is drive time markets themselves on, you tell us how much you want to pay and we'll get you figured out, right? And I'm like, that can't, like, I know numbers, that can't work. Like, that can't work, right?
Well, what it is I want to pay this payment. Okay, cool. 144-month financing at 18% for the next, lifetime. The car is worth nothing midway through the loan. Like, it's just,
I want to get this Honda Civic for $100 a month.
$100 a month.
No
sure,
problem.
We can make that happen.
Yeah, no problem. We'll do it on 144 months. I mean, it's just very interesting. But what the problem with that is it's resulting in some artificially inflated numbers just on both sides of the coin, right? And I'm telling you, there's nothing good about this story, nothing good about this article. And, it leads me thinking, guys, what are you doing? Like, what is happening over there? So I would like to think that hopefully we can figure out a way to get in front of this, because I think it's going to negatively impact, the folks over at Ally Financial. And I think more importantly, it's going to negatively impact the people that are looking for just an affordable car loan.
And well, another thing too, like I was looking at TRXs and they've got a couple on their site, and most of them show that it's pending sale. I mean, so they are moving some vehicles.
You know what's funny though, is a lot of those that show pending sale are pending sale for a while. How long does it take to do? How long does it take to do? And if it is pending sale, right? Then why is it still up on your site? Why wouldn't you take it down, at least for now? But the thing is, you can get in line. Right. So if you're trying to get that TRX and your financials fall through, which a lot of these probably do, I can jump right on that car right after you did, because I actually thought about one point in time back in 2022, maybe 21, 22, about buying a couple cars and starting up a Turo business. The problem I had was the market was the wrong time to buy cars, because everything was over what it should be.
It was just crazy asking prices and stuff. Everything was crazy.
It was. And so the big issue I had was, it just wasn't a good market to be in, just in general, to buy cars. And the problem was, all the ones I went to go look at, if I found a cheap one, it was usually on Carvana. And the problem was they were all pending sale.
So
I'd find like a Jaguar
F-Pace or
F-Type. F-Type, right? Because I wanted a convertible in the group. And it would be a Jaguar F-Type convertible, V6 supercharge. And I was all about it. And then you get on there and it's like pending sale. And I'm like, okay. And then I'd go back 2 weeks later, that same car would be pending sale. And I was like, even if you had like really sketchy credit, you could probably figure this out in 2 weeks. So maybe that was all part of this, smoke and mirrors too, right?
There's no telling, man. And but like I said, I've never bought a car from them. I've sold two cars to them, and both times went extremely smooth, extremely great. The check went fine. I didn't have any kind of sketchy anything, and the guy that showed up was really, really, pleasant to deal with. If you have bought a car from Carvana, please tell us below what happened. How it went.
Like I said, I don't know anybody who's bought a car from Carvana. I know a lot of people have sold a car to Carvana, and it's just 10 out of 10, right? I mean, our friends of mine, right before COVID, decided they were going to move out of their house. They were going to move into an RV and travel the country. And when they did that, they sold their daily car to Carvana, and it was simple. They showed up, cut a check, put the car on the truck, and left. right? So
I'll say they've been offering less lately because
they have been. It's not as competitive as
it's not what it used to be.
Yeah, it's not as competitive as it used to be. And I'll tell you this: if you want to sell a car to them, be sure you want to sell a car to them because they will email you 20 times seeing if they can get your car.
I get an update all the time about the value has changed on my vehicles I don't even own anymore. Exactly. And you know how I found out my Maserati Gran Turismo had been wrecked? I got a notification from them, and it said your car is now worth $800. And I was like, which car? So I go rolling through, and it's like
you're like, my Viper? How's that possible?
the VIN was right there, so I just copy and pasted it into Google, and quick little Google search, and there it is on the Copart website, beat to death. And I was like, oh, it hurt a little bit right here.
So take some time, go through the article, call out anything that we've missed, but tell us, I mean, is this something that you're concerned about? Do you guys not even care about Carvana at this point? But I think that Carvana, that this is going to impact the industry, whether it's a site that you've worked with before or not, right?
Yeah.
And then the bigger question is, how does it affect drive time, right? And again, drive time is all about helping people that just need a car get a car, right? So I think that's definitely going to be an interesting conversation. But as we say, every time, if you made it this far in the video, we appreciate it. Make sure that you're liking, sharing, and subscribing this video, and click the bell so that you know when the new videos come out. We try to do new videos every week, and we try to do shorts throughout the week. So hopefully you guys are watching and listening. And if you're listening to us on Apple or Amazon or iHeartRadio, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Definitely come and check out our YouTube channel because we do have extra videos on our YouTube channel that don't translate well into podcasting. So you get to see John, work on his Maserati. You get to see Adam work on his truck.
You never know. Yeah.
Right. So who knows? Right. So definitely come back, check us out, and hopefully we see you guys soon.
We'll see you on the next one. Peace.
Peace.